Wait, before you click away, watch how original this video illustrates scales. Can you really play all over the guitar neck with just 3 hand shapes? This is a compilation of my videos aimed to visually guide you by showing how 3 simple hand shapes are all that are needed to play the guitar. After that, I'll show you how you can practice these patterns without the guitar. Then, a quick basic exercise to practice these hand patterns, but stick around till the end. You don't want to miss the amazingly easy way to learn your pentatonic scale all over the neck. This video is packed full of visual learning. Watch how it all comes together. Stick with me here for a second. First, I'd like to put you in the right frame of mind. Imagine your guitar neck with a map of the highways. Then place a different map of the city roads. Then one of the neighborhood. Also one on your street. And one on your home by your neighbors. You have many different maps according to how you choose to navigate. This is how guitarists see the neck. They mentally project different maps onto the fretboard as they need. Sometimes it's the diatonic scale. Sometimes it's the pentatonic scale, chords, or triads. All of this can be found in the C major scale, utilizing 3 simple hand shapes. The diatonic scale modes and triads associated with the guitar incorporates only 3 simple hand configurations. You can consider these configurations as 3 patterns that repeat throughout the neck. To simplify this, we will call these hand pattern 1, 2, and 3. Each pattern only uses 3 fingers. Hand pattern 1 is the first ring and pinky fingers. The pinky and ring fingers are close together. Hand pattern 2 is the first, middle, and pinky. In this case, the first and middle fingers are close together. And hand pattern 3 is any 3 fingers spread apart. Practice these 3 patterns and call out the numbers, so at any point that I say hand pattern 1 or pattern 2, you can instantly know to which I'm referring. Here's a quick explanation on what these hand patterns actually mean when it comes to the guitar neck and the notes. Each finger represents 1 fret space. Any space between fingers means that's 1 fret you don't play. So if you are playing 3 notes in a row, going up the string, you would skip the fret that has the space between the fingers. Pattern 1 has the middle finger tucked away from the rest, so the tucked away finger represents a fret that's not played. Let's start with the definition of major and minor. Simply put, major means big and minor means small. When the term major or minor is used, it refers to the note's distance from the root. Is it big or little, long or short, large or small? In music, instead of calling the notes in the scale by the letter name, they just number them in order. The first number in a chord, number 1, is always the root. From the root, all the notes after the 1 have a small or large distance away from the root. For instance, the next number is 2. There's a minor 2 and a major 2. Then a minor 3 and a major 3, but they don't call them 1, 2, 3, 4. They refer to them as the first, second, third, fourth, etc. In basic terms, a major or minor usually refers to the chord or triad and whether it's a minor third or major third. Right now, we're only talking about the distance of the 3rd note in the scale from the root. Another way to look at the minor or major third in terms of distance is that minor third is always 4 frets in length and major is 5 frets in length. Now to relate this to the hand patterns. Pattern 1 is always a minor, pattern 2 is always a minor, and pattern 3 is always a major. Triads will have a different rule on how the hand patterns relate to the minor or major third. This will be explained in more detail later. Remember, each hand pattern has 3 notes in it. If you played each pattern in sequence twice and add 1 more pattern 3, the sequence would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. Each pattern's first note would be the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. To add the theory to this, the sequence is also minor, minor, major, minor, minor, major, major. To sum this lesson up, when only referring to the first note in the 3-note pattern, playing that pattern set twice, and adding 1 more pattern 3 would look like this. 1 A minor, 2 B minor, 3 C major, 1 D minor, 2 E minor, 3 F major, 3 G major. As you play each pattern set, call out the numbers, notes, or if it's major or minor. Take turns calling out the 3 different names for each pattern set. Now that you know your 3-finger patterns, continue on to see how to practice them without the guitar. Watch how they match the notes all over the fretboard. Here's how you can memorize them without the guitar. Grab yourself a notepad and a pen. Keep this pad and pen with you wherever you go so you can practice this exercise wherever you are. Open the pad and start at the bottom. Outside the margin, write 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This represents the strings from your point of view. Let's start with the 5 string, which is the A string. We want to start here because this is how we memorized the 3 hand patterns. Now, write the ABCs going up to G, which is the 7 notes in music. You want to space these notes apart except for the B and C and the E and F. When you get to G, it starts over again. Remember, the B and C are always together and the E and F are always together, and this is the repeating point, or the octave. This just keeps repeating over and over. Reminder, here is hand pattern 1, hand pattern 2, and hand pattern 3. And this is the complete 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 hand pattern sequence that you learned earlier. So, rule number 1 is B and C are always next to each other, and the E and F are always next to each other. Rule number 2 is E and F are always on top of B and C on the next string. That makes this a little block of notes that are always together. So on the 6th string, the B and C would go here. Here on the octave, the repeat, the E and the F go on top. And for the octave of the 6th string, the B goes under the E. Here on the 6th string, the octave goes on the bottom left corner. Which brings me to rule 3. Think of rule 3 like this. Draw out a tic-tac-toe grid. The lines going up and down are the frets, and the block spaces are the fretboard spaces. The bottom left and top right are always the same note, 1 octave apart. In other words, the top right corner is where the repeat happens. So the E goes here on the 6th string and the F goes next to it, according to rule number 3. Skip a space and put in the G. Then skip a space and write an A. Then skip a space and there is the B and C group. Skip a space and put the D. It continues with the octave. Notice how the D is always on top of the A. And how the E is always under the A. So here's an A, and there would be an E here. But this is the last string unless you have a 7-string guitar. On the 4th string, what goes over the A? That's right. The G is always above the D, which would be here as well. And what goes over the E note? You might be tempted to put a note over the F, but a space goes there. Then the BC group goes next. Then continue the octave. Continue these rules with the 3rd string and repeat the octave. Mostly you want to remember that the B and C grouping always goes under the E and F grouping. And after you finish the 7 notes, it repeats at the octave. If you continued on like this and look closely, you may soon start to notice a repeating pattern emerging. But then we come to the 2nd string, the B string. Everyone who will teach you about the B string will tell you about the B string shift. This is where the repeating pattern will have a shift in the pattern. If you notice, each string starts with the fourth note in the string before it. Since the B string shifts up one fret, it will start with the third note of the string above it, which is B. If you look at the D and notice how it's over the A. On the B string, the D is one fret up over a space, not over the A. And the C goes here and the B right next to it. When you complete the sequence up to the octave, you'll see how everything looks off. This is something all guitarists have to deal with. This makes rule number 4. The B string, the second string, is always shifted up one fret. Now these two strings are even like the others. That makes the first note the same as the fourth note of the string above it, which is an E. Then continue the rules going up through the notes. To recap, starting with the first note in the alphabet, the sequence will be A, skip, B, C, skip, D, skip, E, F, skip, G, skip. Octave. Just remember that the B and C group are always together and the E and F are always together, and you should be fine. This little group of 4 notes in a square can be spotted all over the neck. Looking at it from the perspective of the neck labels, anywhere you see this group of 4, you'll always know that this is the B, C, E, F group. Of course, the B string skip will look different. Just continue this exercise all the way up the page.
Now let's look at the 3 hand patterns, going from string to string 3 notes at a time by only drawing dots.
What do you think the recurring pattern is going to be here?
In this video, I'll show you how the hand patterns do a specific repeating pattern when playing 1 hand pattern per string. What we have here is a key to help you understand what you're doing. In this exercise, we're only going to draw the dots. This is just here to remind you how the hand pattern sequence applies here. The rule you're going to follow here is pattern 1 equals 2 times. Pattern 3 equals 3 times. And pattern 2 equals 2 times. In this order. In this direction, which is going up the scale. Start by writing the string order in the margin. This will repeat over and over. Here on string 2, the B string is the B string shift. We're going to ignore this for now, just so you get used to the fact that there is a repeating pattern. Later, you'll apply the B shift rule, but for now, ignore it. We're going to start off on the 5th string, like we always do. But this isn't so important because these patterns can be anywhere on the neck. It just depends on the scale. Draw the dots in the pattern 1 configuration. Then go to the next string and add another pattern 1. This is according to the rule pattern 1 equals 2 times. Then go to the next string and draw in the pattern 3 configuration. Do the same on the next 2 strings according to the pattern 3 rule. 3 times. That was the last string, but let's not worry about the string count for now. This pattern would continue if there were more strings. For now, you're just going to practice this over and over, which is what it actually does. The next one, according to the rule, is pattern 2, 2 times. You're going to start it in the space between the 1 and 2 of the prior string. Then it starts over again with pattern 1 according to the rule, 2 times. Since you don't have to associate the notes to these dot patterns, the dots can be anywhere on the neck in this order. The pattern will be the same, but the notes associated with the dots can and will be different. Some may be sharp or flat, and the EFBC group will be different notes, breaking the EFBC rule. It just depends on where you start this sequence. Knowing this,
will help you move the scale anywhere you want on the neck and not care what the notes are. This continues over and over. It's that simple. It doesn't matter where you start. For instance, what if you start with pattern 3? But according to the scale and what string you're on, it only repeats twice. Because the first set of the 3 were above where there's no string. You just continue on as if you were on the last 2 of the repeating pattern. Pattern 2 twice. Pattern 1 twice, and on and on. It doesn't matter where you start. You could start here, or here on pattern 2. You just continue the sequence. You're just going to imagine there are strings above that have the pattern. Simple, right? Do this exercise a few times. It shouldn't take long to memorize this vertical sequence pattern. Here is a great follow-along exercise. So grab your guitar. I use these neck labels to help you see clearly all the patterns you need to memorize for playing the guitar. In this series, these neck labels will make it easier to learn the scales. This is so you don't have to know the scales before you start practicing them. You can just start practicing them by playing only the strings over the white frets. Throughout these videos, I'll point out all the patterns that you can easily see. Once you've memorized the patterns, you won't need the labels anymore. You can download these labels for free. Just watch this DIY video and see how to download, print, and apply the labels. All my videos will utilize these labels so you can follow along easily and get a head start on learning the guitar. Today, our aim is to focus on repeating patterns one string at a time, hammer-ons, and picking mindfulness. Things to remember while watching this video is to focus on the first note only, accenting that note, being mindful where you are on the 1-2-3, 1-2-3-3 pattern, picking for tone, and learning to relax. After participating with this video, you will gain muscle memory, pattern recognition, and hand strength. Today, we're going to focus on memorizing the Ionian scale, which is all the white keys on the keyboard. The repeating hand patterns are pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3, then repeat those 3 and add one more pattern 3. In this 1-2-3, 1-2-3-3 pattern, we don't start with C, even though the scale is the C major scale. Instead, we start with the A note because that's the first note in the alphabet and the hand patterns are easier to recognize and memorize at this point. Plus, we're just exercising patterns right now with all the white keys on the keyboard represented on the guitar neck. By only playing the white frets, each hand pattern takes care of 3 notes, then moves up 1 note. This repeats until you do the last set. You want to keep an eye out for when pattern 3 plays twice. This will remind you where you are on the scale and on the neck. Focus on the first note of each hand pattern by picking that note harder. This accents that note louder than the others. First, we'll do hammer-ons, picking a downstroke on the first note only. Then shift up 1 note at a time, up to the octave and back down. Then do it again, but picking an upstroke on the first note only. Do that to the octave and back. Then we'll pick all the notes in an up-down alternate pattern up to the octave and back. Then do that again, but in staccato. Staccato is not letting the note ring out by stopping it with the pick. We'll do each set 8 times at 80 beats per minute. I want you to keep in mind how and where you pick the string. Watching my quick video, picking for tone will explain what I mean. But in essence, keep searching for different ways to hold the pick until you find the comfort and tone you like. There's one way to hold the pick that makes picking easier and sounds best. Look for it. If you're new to this, tensing up can occur. This is normal as your muscles aren't trained yet. The stronger your muscle gets, the easier it'll be to relax. You want to eventually be relaxed. The more relaxed you are, the more accurate you'll become. Think of this like walking for the first time. Your brain sends random signals to your legs, twitching all the muscles until it figures out the correct sequence to make you walk. The more you practice, the more opportunities your brain gets to fine-tune the correct sequence. So practice often and give your brain plenty of opportunities to fine-tune the sequence. This video starts on the 5 string, which is in a minor scale, but don't worry about that because we're not playing music today. We're just exercising scale patterns. Okay, let's get started. Downstrokes on the 1st string only. Hammer on the other 2. Remember, repetition is the key to learning. Let's mix it up a bit. Now let's look at the pentatonic scale. This is where I show you all the recurring patterns and all the pentatonic positions, the easy way. No, seriously, the easy way. Now for a special benefit from these neck labels. You not only have the C major scale all laid out for you, you also have the full pentatonic scale with all the inversions on the entire neck clearly laid out for you. So if you ever wanted to learn the full pentatonic scale, watch this. Look at the neck where the 3 solid labels are, the white, black, and white ones. Focus on the black one. That's right. We're gonna play the black notes. Starting on the 6th string on the black note, play each string 2 notes per string. This is the blues scale. To be more specific, it's the E-flat minor pentatonic. If you start on the 1st string again, but on the F-sharp position, playing each string 2 notes per string, this is the major pentatonic scale. And more specifically, it's the F-sharp major pentatonic scale. Here's the best part. All the black notes on the neck are the pentatonic scale, with every position. Just like the C major scale, the white notes, this pentatonic scale can be moved to any position. Unfortunately, this pentatonic scale is in a flat position, which isn't an average place for a song to be played. Unless you play with someone who plays tuned 1/2 step down. Otherwise, this would be more of a practice position. Once you've memorized the patterns and positions, you can move it anywhere you need. This short series will be exercising this pattern in every position. I will point out how this pattern repeats so you can always recognize where you are in the entire scale. Let's get started. We'll start with what most consider to be the 1st position of the pentatonic scale. I want to start by showing you the repeating pattern. But before that, you should know that the pentatonic scale is made up of 2 notes per string. Although you'll be playing 6 strings, there's actually only 2 repeating patterns. The first one is the minor third. These notes are a minor third distance, or 4 frets apart from each other. The second one is 3 frets apart from each other. This distance has a name. Well, it can be called a few different names, such as major second, whole tone, just tone, or whole step. These are the only 2 patterns you have to know. Now, what is the repeating order? First, for clarity, let's name the first one pentatonic hand pattern 1 and the second one pentatonic hand pattern 2. Now here is the repeating pattern playing 2 notes per string. The pattern is always 2 1s and 3 2s repeated over and over. That's 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Depending on what position you're on, the pattern will start from a different section of this pattern. So if you play 2 1s, you know there will be 3 2s coming up. Or if you play 1 1 and the next one is a 2, then you know there will be 2 more 2s before it starts over with the next 2 1s. It's the exact same thing in the opposite direction. Just memorize 2 1s and 3 2s. For those who aren't using these neck labels, memorizing these 2 repeating patterns can be most helpful. The main thing you need to be aware of is that each pattern doesn't line up on the first note all the time. Some line up on the top side, some line up on the bottom side, and some don't line up much at all. Let's go over each position set so you can get a visual of how these two pattern sets look like on each pentatonic position. For those who are following along with the neck labels, it's all laid out for you, just follow along. Okay, pentatonic position 1, hand pattern set is 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1. If you shift up one position to pentatonic position 2, it's 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. Of course, the B string shift has to be taken accounted for. You notice how I didn't call position 2 an F sharp major? In this exercise, we are in the key of E flat minor. All the positions are related to this first position, your key. If we were starting on the F major key, that would be position 1, and the one above it would be position 2. But right now, we are in the key of E flat minor. So let's continue. Instead of going up again to pentatonic position 3, let's go down 1, from position 1 to position 5. Position 5 is 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2. Position 4 is 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. Position 3 is 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2. And this is position 2. 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. It's common to go from position 1 to position 2 or 1 to position 5 because it helps extend position 1. But the true reason to play with different positions is that shifting to a different position gives a lick a different feel and sound. The more you shift around to the different positions, the more you'll understand what I mean. Sometimes you might want to do 2 positions together and do 3 notes per string. You can also do the scale on just 1 string. Practicing the pentatonic scale on just 1 string is just as important as the typical box, because this allows you a vehicle to move up or down to other positions. So let's look at the pentatonic scale pattern going up or down on a string, and the repeating pattern. After all, there's always a pattern. Let's start on the F sharp. There's 2 ways to look at this. One is major, minor, major, second, minor, where the major is the scale hand pattern number 3. Then it repeats. The other way to look at it is the pentatonic hand patterns 1 and 2, which is 2, 2, 1, 2, 1. Repeat. What's really interesting is these repeating patterns go the opposite direction in the same order as well. I'll be adding pentatonic exercises periodically to the pentatonic playlist. So subscribe to be notified. For now, this will help you memorize this pattern set. Take a screenshot of this to help commit it to memory. To make it easier to memorize, you can just remember the first 3 numbers. Once you know the first 3, you'll automatically know the rest, as long as you remember the 1, 1, 2, 2, 2 pattern. Check this out. Here's something interesting. If you look at the center position 3, it's 2, 2, 2. That's 3 2s. Not hard to forget. Now look at the ones to each side. They are flipped from each other. 2, 1, 1, and 1, 1, 2. And the ones on the ends are also flipped from each other. They're also opposite of the last 2. 1, 2, 2, and 2, 2, 1. I'm telling you, there are patterns everywhere. I've got more to show you, so subscribe if you'd like to find out about them. When you play the pentatonic scale, you can easily get stuck in a box. The pentatonic box, that is. This last video will show you how to break out of this box. It can come in handy. Have a look. Here is a pentatonic exercise that will run up the neck utilizing all 5 pentatonic positions without repeating a note. With the notes in this run, you'll have access to the entire neck of 4 octaves. It's great for soloing because you will never have to think about the 5 pentatonic positions. This run starts on the F sharp major, following the black notes on the neck labels. If you're not using the neck labels, just follow the pentatonic hand pattern rules. What's great about this run is we are only using hand pattern 2, which is a fret distance of 3 frets, also known as a whole tone. Oh yeah, there are 2 spots at the ends going up or down that use the hand pattern 1, but it's only 1 note, the last note. Practicing this run all the way up and down, This exercise is meant to get you to memorize all the notes in this run. This is not a lick, nor is it music. It's an exercise. Once you've committed it to memory, you can start and stop anywhere in the pattern you want. This starts in a major chord position, so using it with an F-sharp major will work great. But you could start it at the minor chord position and use it as is. The minor position would be E flat, and the scale doesn't even have to move. Of course, you can move this pattern anywhere you want. It's best to watch this video with your guitar in your hand. This video is an exercise video. Practicing with the video is where you're going to get the most benefit. But if you don't have your guitar with you... Sorry, AI did its best. Okay, you'll still get a mental understanding of the run. You'll also get the benefit of ear training. If you are a singer, the pentatonic scale is what you want to learn. It's the best singing scale. Ready? Let's get started. We're going to repeat this scale over and over. If you need to see this slower, click the YouTube gear. Click on playback speed. Then choose an amount to slow it down. But how do these hand patterns relate to chords? I go into depth about that in my popular video, The Complete Triads Guide, the easy way. Watch how I illustrate it to make this easy to understand. Seriously, the easy way. Download this video for personal viewing, so you can watch it as much as you want without commercial interruptions. Look in the description for details. Plus, I have an invention that I hand make and sell on Amazon. If you touch the guitar when you pick, you may like it. Amazon link in the description.